Hello everybody, today we'll have our fourth e-tag. Today we will complete the session we had already taken last week. That was tag 3. We have already known more about some phonetic terminologies like stress, intonation, linking, and so on. Today we will have some activities to apply on what we had already learned. So our schedule for today will be divided into 4 parts. First part will be pronunciation activities. We will have 6 activities related to pronunciation, like word tennis, interested or not, limerick, songs, verbs, and listen and underline. The second part will be about evaluating and adapting activities. The third part will be integrating activities. We'll have 3 more activities like Bremenez, Bingo, and Snap. Finally, we'll have our assessment for the TAG4. It's a reflection and action plan. I have already sent it on our Google Classroom group. Now let's start. With learning outcomes. It's also the learning outcomes for our TAG3. We have already known about last week. So by the end of this module, we'll be able to have the 2 other points, which are evaluate a range of pronunciation activities. We'll have a look over 6 activities and integrate pronunciation activities with other aspects of language learning. We'll have 3 more activities and some videos related to them. And finally, we'll have our assignment. So let's start. From the very beginning, I want you to know something very important. You can modify the activity as you wish or as you like. So don't stick to the rules on which I will give you in this activities. You can modify them to be suitable for the level of your students, your class, and the individual differences. The stage you are teaching for, is it prep or is it secondary stage, and so on. Now let's start with the first activity, which is word tennis. In this activity, players play in pairs. So I have got 2 players, learner A and learner B. A says a 1-syllable word, and B has to reply with a word that rhymes with the first word. So he will give him a 1-syllable word in return. B then begins with a new 1-syllable word, and A must think of a rhyming word. So we take turns. First, A gives B a word of 1 syllable, and then B replied. After that, B can give him a 1 syllable or 2 syllables as we give the rules to our activity. Right, for example, A will say boot. This is a 1 syllable. B will say seat. Right, A will say meat. Here is no answer. We can't think of 1 syllable word, so A will win. In this activity, we will learn about or can use to review the vocabulary of focusing on the pronunciation of vowel sound, for example. Let's see an example and with a modification to this type of activity. I give you the, the link here, you can use it And I will put it in the description of the video.
Welcome to Word Tennis, fun way to drill vocabulary. Two teams. Team one. Okay, so guys, you're going to start. You're going to say a word that's on the board that we'll be learning, and we'll, as quickly as possible, say a different word back. Okay, Max, get set, go.
Strawberry. Hazelnut.
Peanut butter. Now we start the game. So, do we get points? You get no points for you. It's just as quickly as you can. You are out though because you repeated a word. I know. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Nina, sorry.
So here is the student A repeated the word, so he lose the game. You can modify it to make it, for example, to say regular verbs or irregular verbs, to say some adjectives, some adverbs, some prepositions, and the second one reply with another preposition or adjective and so on, till one of them couldn't answer. So the other side will gain 1 point. You can make it as rows in your class and to give marks to the winning group and so on. This is very motivated and you can use it in different ways. Now let's move to another activity. It's called interested or not. Here is you can use the intonation to give impact on meaning in role plays and speaking discussions. For example, listen to the following sentences and decide if speaker B is interested or not. A, I saw a good film last night. B, oh, what was it called? So from the intonation of the speaker, you can deduce that he's very interested by saying his sentence in this way. So the intonation could give the listener an impact or effect that he is interested or not. Second example, for example, A, I am reading a really good book at the moment. Oh, what's it about? From the sound and the intonation, you can deduce or feel that the speaker B is not interested in the subject and so on. You can teach your students how to use this tone and this intonation, rising and falling in answering the questions or saying some sentences to deliver some messages to give the listener the message you want to deliver that you are interested in his speaking or not. This is another kind of activity you can use in your class. Let's move to the third one. Limerick. What is a limerick? A limerick is a humorous 5-line poem. So we have got a poem consists of 5 lines, right? With a rhyme scheme of A, B, B, A. So the first, second, and fifth lines rhyming in the same way. And the third and fourth lines are rhyming in the same way. For example, here in the poem or the limerick, there was a young lady from, we should say it Niger, but here we will modify the articulation of the word to be Niger, to be like tiger in the second line. So the rhyme scheme here will be in the first line and second line will be A. So we'll say it Niger instead of Niger. Again, there was a young lady from Niger who smiled as she rode on a tiger. The third and the fourth lines are in the same rhythm, so give them the same will be. They returned from the ride with the lady inside, right? Inside. And the smile on the face of the tiger. Here is the tiger again. So I've got Niger, tiger, and tiger. This is A in the first, second, and the fifth lines. And in the third and fourth lines, we have got right and inside. Here is the rhyming is B. Rhythm connected speech, weak forms, stress, individual sounds, all are aspects of articulation or grammatics terminologies you can use in using this mute yourself if you please. Right, we will have an example here. We'll have a lot of limericks you can use this slide to give your students some songs in this way.
There was an old man in a tree who was horrible. He replied, yes, it does. It's a regular brute of a bee. There was an old man on some rocks who shut his wife up in a box. When she said, let me out, he exclaimed, without doubt, you will pass all your life in that box. There was an old man who said, how shall I flee from this horrible cow? I will sit on a stile and continue to smile, which may soften the heart of that cow. There was an old man who said, hush, I perceive a young bird in this bush. When they said, is it small? He replied, not at all. It is 4 times as big as the bush. There was an old man with a beard who said, it is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard.
So I've got here in the first line beard, feared, and in the fifth line again beard. So this is A, and A. In the third and fourth line we have got hen and wren. This is B. Let's continue.
There was an old person of Ware who rode on the back of a bear. When they said, does it trot? He said, certainly not. It's a mopsicon flopsicon bear. There was a young lady in blue who said, is it you? Is it you? When they said, yes it is, she replied, only whiz, that ungracious young lady in blue. There was a small boy of Quebec who was buried in snow to his neck. When they said, are you frizz? He replied, yes I is, but we don't call this cold in Quebec. There was a young lady of Niger who smiled as she rode on a tiger. They came back from the ride with the lady inside and a smile on the face of the tiger. There was a young maid who said, why can't I look in my ear with my eye? If I give my mind to it, I'm sure I can do it. You never can tell till you try.
Right. You can use another activity which is very amusing for students, but in the early stages like primary stage. You can use something called tongue twister, like أرنب أنور في منورنا and so on. Here is, if you return it back to the site of the British Council in Egypt for kids, you will find some tongue twisters and some songs. You can use them in teaching your students in a funny way. Let's move to the next part. It's about songs. And we have already spoken about how is songs very important in listening and teaching, speaking and listening and so on. Here you can make your students listen to each other line of chorus of the song. Hamza rhythm. This is humming. You can use it as a way of teaching the rhythm of a song. Rhythm, connected speech, weak form, stress. Songs are a fun and memorable way to practice all aspects of pronunciation. It's a good method for teaching children. So I have got a very famous song here. Let's listen together.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. On the farm he had some E-I-E-I-O. Tick, tick, you're a tick, tick, there, you're a tick, there, tick, there, you're a tick, tick. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a E-I-E-I-O. And on the sun and the dog. E-I-E-I-O. With a bow wow, you're a bow wow, you're a bow, they're a bow, everywhere a bow wow. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on the sun and some sheep. E-I-E-I-O. With a bow wow, you're and a bow wow, you're a bow, they're a bow, everywhere a bow wow. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
So in this song, you can give your students some new words related to the sounds of some animals and birds, some new words about the animals themselves by giving them a good and memorable song like this song. And you can find the tons and thousands of songs on YouTube and other sites on the internet you can use in teaching your students new vocab, and you can also compose your own song to teach your students some new vocab or grammar. I found some colleagues who made a song to teach his students how to memorize some tenses like present continuous tense and so on. Now let's move to the other activity. This activity is related to countries or verbs. You can apply it on verbs to teach your students word stress. This activity can be used with a range of vocabulary. You can use a lot of vocabulary here. It can also be used to order the pronunciation of past tense regular verbs, which is articulate ta, da, or ed, into 3 columns. Here is example on the right side of the slide. You can find which word is articulated or pronounced with a ta sound at the end of the verb, like help it, loved, missed, worked, fished, and marched. You can give the students here a hint about why did we articulated this ed as a ta sound. You can give him some hints about voiced and voiceless sounds. Here is as the pa sound is voiceless, so it should be followed by a voiceless sound. So the pa is followed by ta. So it's help it, not help it, love, and so on. You can give him the voiceless sounds like pa, ta, ka, sha, and so on. This is a new piece of information for your students, and they will benefit from it and applying it on other aspects of the language. Here is the sound like grab, grabbed, help, helped, and so on. But for help, helped, here is it's said it. So you can give the students some more examples about when ed is articulated as it, da, and ta, as we have already explained before. But for the activity of countries, here is put the following countries in the correct column. Here is the first capital O is stressed syllable, and O, the small one, is unstressed. So in the first column, we'll put the countries which are connected or consists of 2 syllables. The first syllable is stressed and second one is not stressed. For the second column, we'll make the opposite of this. These are the words that are connected of or consisted of 2 syllables. The first syllable is not stressed, but the second one is stressed. You can use whatever you would like, and so on for the third, fourth, and fifth columns. Here is in the fourth column, for example, for syllables. These countries are connected of or consists of 4 syllables. The second syllable is stressed, but the other 3 syllables are not stressed, and so on. Right. You can use this activity in many aspects. You can give the student a lot of, for example, adjectives and ask them to put them in the correct order as they stressed on or not in the first or the second syllable, how many syllables are there in these words, and so on. Let's move to the other activity. This is the last activity here. It's called listen and underline. Listen to the teacher saying these sentences and underline the word you hear. Here is we have some similar activity on our primary stage. I think it's in our first question is exam. Here is the teacher pronounce the long or the short vowel words. So the students are given two words close together, but here is the vowel sounds are articulated very short, but in the other word very long. The students are asked to differentiate between the two sounds. Let's try the first one. It was the biggest ship I've ever seen. So which one I have articulated? Is it the first or the second one? The second, ship. Right, it's not sheep. So here is ship. The vowel sound is very short, but in sheep, here is long, she, long E. So the teacher articulated or pronounced the word that contains a short vowel sound. Number two, they went to buy pens. The second one. Right, in this activity is useful in helping learners notice the difference between sounds, which they have particular difficulties in distinguishing. Here you can use something called the minimal pairs. In minimal pairs, we articulate two words almost similar, but they are different in one sound only, like cat and mat, fat, head, and so on. This is minimal pairs. You can use them in the other activities before, and you can make it much harder for the students or to give them something difficult to some extent. Like you give them 2 or 3 or even 4 syllable words and ask them to give the words on the same way, like compensate, differentiate, and so on. This is would reach their vocab and give them some hints about how many syllables and how they could count these syllables in the words. Let's move to the other part. Now we'll move to our third part of the session. It's about the 3 other activities. Here you can modify the activities and use it as you like. Let's know more about this activity. Bilmanism is a memory game. Learners working groups. So we have got here 4 groups. They have a pack of words cards for the cards. Each team have some cards on which you write down some words. Let's give example. For example, we'll speak about verbs. So each team will have, for example, 5 cards. On each card, there is a verb consists of 1 or 2 or 3 syllables. All the cards are spread face down. You will put some cards face down in front of the class on the table, and the learner take turns turning over 2 cards at a time. So number 1 in each row or in each team will go to the cards on the front of the class on the table and turn 2 cards at a time, trying to find pairs of cards which matching vowel sounds. For example, Here is you will search for two cards which consists of verbs that contains one syllable only or two syllable only and so on as you give them the instructions. This also works with longer words matching the same number of syllables. If he find these two cards, who can take them and return back to his team, so he gains two cards and so on. By the end of the cards on the front of the class, count the number of cards, and the team with the most cards is the winner. Let's see this activity together.
Our next game is called Pelmanism, and it's a matching game. Each of the children has two cards. We have four teams of three. We have the green team, the blue team, the red team, and the white team. And everybody has the same shapes. So the white team have hexagon, square, pentagon, circle, octagon, and triangle. So their job is to find the shapes that match them. So the white team, the red team, the blue team, they're all going to go off one by one. These are the shapes that match them. They do one card at a time. So the first person in each team comes out, tries to find the matching shape. When they do that, when they get the matching shape, they go back to their line, and the second person goes to find their shape. And the team that is back first with all their shapes matching wins the game. You can also do this in a time trial version. The white team go first and you time them. The red team go first, you time them. The blue team go and then you time them. And the green team go and you time them. And the team with the lowest time wins the time trial. This we're going to try it as a team competition. So when I say three, the first person in each team goes. The second person is not allowed to go until the first team member is back. On three. 1, 2, 3, go. They have to put the shape face down if they find it. Only one, once you have one matched, you go back to your team. But they have to put them back face down. They have to be face down. Face down. Go back as quick as you can. If there's a team with them, face up, you have to. The white team. Oriel has the white one. No, you're not. Because Oriel has a white one. That's your goal. Or the greens are disqualified. The whites were back first. The whites were back first.
Right. You can modify this activity and give your self instructions and to give the students some more clearance of how to play this game. But something is very important. You will find out that when you start doing activities in class, at first you can't control your class, you waste some time, but a week after a week, activity after activity, your student will get used to your style and they will enjoy learning by doing some activities. You will have a kind of amusement during the session or the class, and this will give the students something new. They will like it, and that will improve their language greatly. One of the most enjoyable activities is bingo. Here is I will give you the style that I use in teaching using bingo. You can make a kind of checking, memorizing new vocab by using this activity. After we have already learned some new vocab, I will elicit 10 vocab only, and I will write them down on the board. I will ask the students to draw a grid, a box that contains 9 squares, a box, and I will divide it into 9 squares. I will ask the students to distribute the words to elicit 9 only of these 10 words and to write them down randomly in this grid. Now I will check that they did the thing I want them to do. After that, I will say the first word. When the student hear it, he will make a cross over this word. I will say the second and third. Here is when I said the third one. If the students completed 3x marks in a column, a row, or diagonal, he can say bingo and show the line to his colleagues or his friends in the class. Here is he will take a point, or his team will take a point. Ask him to read the words loudly, and the students in the class repeat after him if you want. If you didn't find any of the students have got these 3 words in a row or a column or a diagonal, say the 4th word. If you didn't find, say the 5th. But here you will find, surely you will find someone who will say bingo. This is very amusing game and you will enjoy it. Here we can use it in articulation and phonetics, and I will give you a site you can use to make free bingo cards to use in your class to write down some new words, and you can give this site to your math teacher to benefit from it in teaching some math problems and some math skills and so on. Let's see how did this video give us another point of view related to how to teach bingo.
Every student has a random bingo game that they can play. The next game that I'm going to introduce is a very simple game. It's called bingo. It's an easy way for students to practice new vocabulary. What you usually do is you've got a list of words and you ask your students to make a grid of 4 by 4, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, and they write all those vocabulary words in the grid. Then you randomly read the words and the students check them off. If a student has a line up or down or diagonally or sideways, then they win. Sometimes if it's small, you can tell them they have to have 2 lines of words. Usually we ask the students to write it down. Sometimes they cheat. If they are very low level, it's difficult for them to write it down. So I found this website that automatically creates a bingo game for you. You can add your own words and you can use it with the students. And you can also check who actually got bingo. So it's a great game to play. If you want to use up 5 minutes in your class, let me show you this bingo website. How it works is you can just put in your own title, whatever the vocabulary would be. So if you have a topic that you're going to do.
So we'll have a look over this site, which is my free bingo cards. Now let's show you how to use it. Write down the word myfreebingocards.com in the taskbar here on your Google Chrome or your browser. You will go to this site. Here is number bingo. It's mainly for the math teachers to do this activity, but as English teachers, we can use it. Let's move to get started. So first I will write down the site link here, and then I will press get started. Now here is the first one. is related to numbers. I am not a math teacher, so I will go down to find out something suitable for English. This is make custom bingo. This is good for English. So I will press here. Now bingo card generator. We will generate this bingo for you. For example, let's start this bingo. Enter your title. I write down NTTP year 3, right? Enter your words. He gives you some certain words which is already written on this site, but you can change them. I will write down, for example, Umraniya, South Giza, Atfih. As you see, when I write down a word, it's appear here in the bingo grid. NTTP tags and other words to complete the 9 words: teacher, educator, trainees, Zoom session, orientation, and so on. This is our 9 words. We put them here in the grid. And this is options, the theme. Do you like this theme or do you want to change it? Let's see. We can choose from this, for example, classic. Let's see. This is a classic style, as you see. Christmas. This is Christmas. Let's choose it. And then grid size. Do you want it 3 by 3? So you will have 3 columns and 3 rows, or 4 by 4, or something else. Let's take it 3 by 3. If you change it, you will find that a grid out of 4 by 4 sides, rows, and columns. Now let's go to the next step. Here is you have got your bingo card. You can have 30 cards for free. Let's see. Right, let's go. Here is my bingo card. Here I can see and print it. Now this is my card. I can print it. It is print. I can press print, and I have a copy printed or hard copy of my bingo card. You can use it with your students in teaching new vocab and so on. Now let's return back to our session. The last activity is a snap, and it's similar to some extent to bingo. Learners work in groups. They have a pack of words or cards, 1 syllable words only. They deal the cards out but can't look at them. So they put their cards face down. They take turns turning over cards. They start turning the cards one by one. If 2 words have the same vowel sound, the first person to say snap or to slap their hands down on the cards wins all the cards that have been turned over so far. So he gains all the cards he can find on the table face up. The person with most cards at the end of the game is the winner. This also works with longer words to match the same number of syllables or the same words. You can modify this activity and use whatever words or vocab you want. Now let's move to the last part of our session, which is our assignment for tag 4. This is a kind of reflection. Here you will read or reread the learning outcomes for this module and tick the box that describes how you feel. This is the first activity, and the second one is think about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, and you will give me answers. I will show you the activity here. I have already uploaded it on our Google Classroom. So this is your tag 4 assignment Word file. You will find it like this. You will take here in one of this for the learning outcome. This is the first learning outcome. Second, third, and fourth. You will take only one tick in front of one of these choices. The second activity is these are the questions related to class. Which class will I work with? To apply what you have already learned today, you will answer here about the class, question, goal, how, when, and the results. Let's see our group on Google Classroom. If you press the link I have already sent to you, it's related to our group on the Google Classroom. Here is the name, NTTP Year 3 tags. You will find out that here is in the streaming, the first part. This is our tag 4 assignment. If you press it, you will find out more about it, and you can download on your lab or your mobile. After you have answered it, go back to this place again and press add or create to upload it again. Right? Add or create. Docs. You will create one or to upload it from your laptop or mobile. After that, I will see it on our NTTP group like this. And I will read it and mark it. For example, this is our second tag assignment, and there is, I would like to thank Mr. Atif and Mr. Hisham Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad Abu Noor, Mr. Abdul Azim Imam, Mr. Khan Akbar, Mr. Ramzi, and Mr. Said Aouz for answering the second tag assignment, and I'm waiting for other participants to answer the fourth assignment. That was our final part of our session today. I wish you all the best of luck. Till again next time. See you later. Thanks for being with me today. It was my pleasure to be with you. Let's say goodbye and wish good luck for our Egyptian national team today. Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Goodbye, Mr. Suli.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham. Goodbye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman. I am pleasure to
Thanks.
listen to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Bye, Mr.
Thank you, Mister.
Thanks, Mr. Thanks.
Thanks, Mister.
Thanks.